This is the BT Tower in Birmingham. This is the BT Tower in London. This is the height of the BT Tower in Birmingham, 499 foot to the top of the crane. This is the height of the BT Tower in London, 626 feet to the top of the antenna. This is the distance between the two towers. It says 101, it's actually 100 miles. It's just because it's a little bit sensitive when doing it on the phone. It's actually 100 miles between the BT Tower in London and the BT Tower in Birmingham. This is a civil engineering program talking about the great achievement of the BT Towers. Discussing in this case the BT Tower in Birmingham and its communication through direct line of sight with London. Let's have a listen to this nice young lady.
When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and other towers across the UK.
So direct line of, it was built with the topography and the buildings in mind to have direct line of sight with London. And of course, what's in London? The BT Tower in London. Now, if you're going to claim relay stations, you wouldn't need to build such a bloody eyesore in two of the UK's biggest cities. You've got one in London, one in Birmingham, one in my home city. There's many others, and obviously they're communicating with each other. Birmingham, London was one of the communication routes and a very big gap, which is why I'm using it. And of course, this lady kind of gives the game away. But like I said, if he was going to use relay stations, you wouldn't need such a ridiculously big eyesore in the major cities of London and Birmingham. You just wouldn't. You'd have relay stations on high points outside the city, and you wouldn't need to block the landscape. And I'm going to show you the topography now between the 2 points of reference, which kind of gives the game away even more. Here's the topography between London and Birmingham. This is the best I could zoom it in, I'm afraid, on my mobile. Birmingham is just behind, top left behind the plus sign. Obviously Coventry is just below to the right of it. And of course London is halfway down on the right hand side. On the right hand side you've got a scale of the elevation done in colour. And of course we can see between the 2 points of reference it doesn't get that high. Certainly doesn't get to 1,000 feet, 1,030 feet, which is the highest elevation on the whole area that is shown. But of course the towers would have been built with the elevation and line of sight in mind, just like the lady said. So the topography tells us that what she said was a slip up. Let's just have a quick look at the height of the towers and the street levels above sea level that the towers are on. Bear with me. Birmingham Tower, 499 feet to the top of the crane height. London's Tower, 626 feet to the top of the antenna. Lionel Street in Birmingham, where the BT Tower is 423 feet above sea level. And the tower in London, which is on Cleveland Mews, is 131 feet above sea level. When I add the height of the tower in Birmingham, which is 499 feet, and the street level height above sea level in Birmingham, 423 feet, I come up with a total of 922 feet as eye height. Target distance, 100 miles. We calculate target hidden height, 2,631 feet. Let's calculate the height involved, which is the London building. Taking into account the street height in London, 131 feet. The tower height in London, the antenna, 626 feet. We get a total height of 757 feet. Target hidden height should have been 2,631 feet. We've got a discrepancy of 1,874 feet of missing curve. British Telecom helping to destroy the globe. Let's just go back to what this engineer's got to say about the Birmingham Tower again. Bearing in mind the topography backs what the lady's saying. The substance of water backs what the lady's saying. Objective reality backs what the lady's saying. Practical reality backs what the lady's saying. Everything backs what the lady's saying. You've got to go into the realms of storytelling to justify the globe. And even then, it's not backed by anything. Let's have a listen to that lovely lady just before we go. Could you just destroy the globe for me, my dear, just before I have a nice chamomile cup of tea to relax and refresh, just before I do some training?
When it was built, the tower's height was key to its success, avoiding the surrounding buildings to allow direct line of sight of radio waves to London and
Direct line of sight of radio waves to London, 100 miles away, when we know the BT Tower in London should have been 1,874 feet below the horizon, according to the heliocentric fantasy. Thank you for bigging up the civil engineering and the great construction of the BT Tower in Birmingham. Even though it is an eyesore, it's actually destroyed the globe, and so have you by boasting of its achievements. It would be pointless to build such an eyesore if you were going to rely on relay stations. The topography tells us the globe's nonsense. This young lady tells us the globe's nonsense. The BT Tower in Birmingham tells us the globe's nonsense. Guess what? The globe's nonsense. And British Telecom have just proved that. Cheers.